and actually start this discussion of this item with a question that we have. We have been approached by third parties to actually go ahead and make an offer and purchase this property. So at the staff level, the question that we ask ourselves is, how do we move forward on responding to some of those requests that we're getting? Should we go out and negotiate and come to the council with a proposal to purchase the property, or should we follow a similar process that we followed in the past to sell city-owned property? So with that, which is what we've done, for example, with a Mission Square building. That's we had a portion of that parking lot that was sold out, was carved off, and was sold to a developer that went ahead and built the Mission Square project. We've also done that with a property owned by the city at the south of Shawnee Mission Parkway, west of Rowe.
So you mean the city approach to selling property is what you...
We issued a request for proposals. And with that, maybe I started with my question. Let me maybe backtrack a little bit and do my introduction. As the council knows, the city has spent a significant amount of effort over the last, 7-8 years now in the West Gateway district area. That's essentially all of the commercial property between Metcalf and Lamar and Shawnee Mission Parkway and 56th Street, going back to about 2005, so about seven years. Initially, there was a task force that was appointed by that was created and looked at a number of things, a number of challenges that existed in the West Gateway area. Some of which being a number of underutilized properties, a number of vacant buildings, and disinvestment in the area overall. This task force worked with a consulting firm that was hired by the city and went through a visioning process to try to answer the question, if this area does change over time, what should it change to? And if as we start seeing that evolution of the neighborhood, of the district overall, what should it become? So this was done in 2005. This led to a comprehensive plan revision. It led to a 2007 creation of or adoption by the City Council of the West Gateway Form-Based Code. The Form-Based Code is essentially the zoning overlay for the West Gateway area that calls for a certain kind of development to take place as properties get redeveloped in the area. And that is the code that the Mission Crossing project used to move forward as part of that development. There's a misperception out there that the form-based code does not allow for maintenance of existing buildings, and that is not the case. Since 2007, when it was adopted, there have been a number of minor improvement projects that have taken place within the West Gateway, or maintenance of existing buildings.
Wouldn't call IV minor.
Right, and I did put quotes within my word when I said that. But there have been some maintenance of existing buildings, and there has been one significant redevelopment project at the old Herb Jones site. So there's been some activity in there. I think it is understood that in order to achieve full conformance with what was established in the form-based code, it is necessary to have for a developer to be able to control a fairly large amount of land. It's difficult to develop something like the Mission Crossing project, for example, unless there's a critical mass of land area that is controlled by one entity. In the past, what the council has done in order to incentivize, to assist, or to participate in redevelopment of the area, the council has selected one of two strategies. One being the pursuit or the partnership with a master developer who is assigned a task of securing property, putting property together, and hopefully coming up with a development concept that goes before the City Council for approval, and voila, project is constructed. That's one path. The second path that the City Council has pursued in the past has been issuance of a request for proposals for sale and development of city-owned property. And the best example is the Mission Square project. The council determined that in order to get something going in the area, that a portion of that parking lot could be parceled off and sold if the right development concept came along. So we put a request for an RFP for developers. We received a number of responses. We actually received 3 at the time. The council participating in selecting that development concept, which was more attractive to the city. Eventually, that land was partitioned off and sold off, and there is a Mission Square project as it sits now. It's been open now for a year. And that process took a little while to get completed. We've also done that with property the city owns southwest of China Mission Parkway and Road. The city has recently purchased a property at 7080 Martway, which is the old Neff printing property, and there were a number of goals that were established by the city when that was purchased. There have been a number of things that have happened in this area since this property was purchased. There is a lot of improvements that are taking place, public improvements that are taking place immediately to the south or on Martway, adjacent to this property. And also, as we know, the Mission Crossing project has gone underway. The commercial elements of that project are now nearing completion, and we hope that the residential piece of that project is going to be happening soon, within the next year or two. So there's a lot of energy within this area. We think that is the reason why we are now being approached by different parties to purchase this property. With at council's direction, one approach that we can take is follow a similar process that we've done in the past to try to accomplish the same goals that were adopted by the council when this property was purchased, and actually seek out a developer that can do it, and perhaps in some coordination with the city. We would follow a similar path. We'd issue the request for proposals. We would establish a committee. We'd go through a selection process. We would look at a number of factors. We would look at the offer for the financial compensation for purchase of the land, the development concept, and different things as we move forward, if the council so chooses. And with that, I believe I will stop, and I will take any questions that the council has, unless there's something else to be added. Mike?
Okay, questions from the committee?
The pre-development agreement is off the table, is that, we heard something about that pre-development agreement, now we have nothing. So that's, and we already have offers on this property.
They're not formal offers, but
What kind of offers then
they're
are
pretty close. They want to come before the city council with an offer. It's not an offer that I can have, it's not a document, but they have expressed an interest, and if given the opportunity, they'll come before the city
Well,
council.
anybody who develops on that property would have to adhere to the codes, would they not?
Form-based codes.
So it would not matter if we took a more active role, why don't we let them take the active role? And, we bought this property, and we're not gonna be doing something like this again, correct? Without, well, I'm just saying, hello. Well, yeah, it's pretty upsetting to me. I'm sorry, it is. It's very upsetting to me being a resident of Mission and a city council member. I think it's extremely upsetting. So I just wanted to get that out on the table. It shows a lack of integrity and a problem. And I haven't heard an apology from anybody. I haven't heard anything about that situation other than something on my laptop. And I'm sorry. I think it should have been handled different as far as.
I think that's something for another time. I think we need to address Martin's concern now.
And I think that as long as it's above board and open and clean and clear, then we can understand what's going on and see what they have to say. I'm for them taking the initiative and us adhering to our codes.
Okay, Martin, you want to give the 2 alternatives that we have, or just the one?
Well, and the offer, the interest that we have now is not actually a purchase of the whole property, just a portion of the property as it is now. So it's been expressed to us, yes, we'll consider buying additional. We could do at this point one of 2 things. We just negotiate with one party, come before the city council. If it is the will of the council to sell a portion or all of this property, we come with an offer for discussion with the council, or we pursue the other approach, which is we do the RFP and we put it out for everybody, to anybody that's interested, and everybody gets a shot at making an offer, not only a financial offer, but also suggesting a development concept for the site.
Well, so why does it have to be an RFP? Why can't it just be for sale?
And an RFP gives us the opportunity of also looking at what are the development ideas that a purchaser may have. We did buy this property with a certain number of goals once upon a
What
time.
are those? Because I don't know what those
To try
are.
to, one, parking for a lot of the surrounding buildings to the east of this site is a concern, especially as we look forward on doing.
Martin, I'd rather you, I'm sorry, I have the same question, but you weren't in the executive session when the 5 council members sitting up here talked about it. I'd rather have the council members that sat in the discussion on why we bought it answer
Wait a
that
second,
question.
I don't mean to hijack your meeting, but how this Neff property was acquired and whether or not we do an RFP for this piece of commercial property are two
No.
completely
Right.
different.
Okay,
Not if we bought it for a
you're
parking lot.
misunderstanding what my
Right.
comment just was.
Right.
I'm not speaking to
Right.
the technicalities of the process of the City Falls to purchase property. That's not what my question was. My question was, and I came here with the same darn question, is why did we buy Neff Prod? Why did we authorize or give ability?
Again, you're going back to, we own this piece of property. We don't want to own it forever. And how do we sell it? And do we either sell it to a single buyer or do we sell it through an
So just-
RFP?
What was
So
the
just to-
purpose of it?
Well,
So wait a
hang on,
minute,
hang on,
Martin
wait a
has
minute.
twice
Stop, just a minute.
said,
Let's,
referred to goals, and I just.
Amy, wait a minute,
questioned
let's
the
let
goals
him
are.
finish his statement.
He wasn't in the meeting.
All I'm saying is, okay, so we bought it for a parking lot. We bought it because it was on the market for 10 years and nobody else wanted it. We bought it because nobody else wanted to deal with the environmental. We bought it because we bought it $400,000 under market value. We bought it for, name 25 different reasons. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's ours, we own it, and we've got to figure out what to do with it. And so all I'm saying
So there was
is,
no goal
Wait a
when we
minute.
bought it.
You and I disagree on that. It does matter.
Okay, let's just one person talk at a time. Okay.
I'm asking.
Are you finished? Then go ahead.
am I finished? Well, I think I had some pretty clear goals for why I was supportive of the PAT. And again, that piece of property sat on the market for many, many years. It has a whole bunch of environmental problems. If you look at it in terms of where it's positioned, I think it becomes a pretty important cog in that section of property in the West Gateway that I think can be a pretty attractive piece. And I think that until the city came forward with leadership to say, hey, we're going to purchase this and we're going to take the responsibility for getting it cleaned up, right? That I think it would have continued to sit. So if you're asking back to the question of, regardless of what motivated us to buy it, I'm just saying, if you want to be pragmatic,
Well, it sounds like it
we
was
own it.
Okay,
purchased as a investment,
okay, wait a minute. Amy had another question.
which
We're having a dialogue. I'm fine with it.
which would be right in line with what we're talking about. You buy it cheap, you sell it high, right? And that's what we're talking about doing, right?
Well, I think that's one
So
of it.
that's why I want to know, if we bought it for some specific purpose, other than that, I'd like to know what that was, but
Right, well, we certainly, my motivation was certainly not to buy it for a loss, right? Buy it for this, buy it for here and sell
it
it
was
for here.
bought to sell, yeah.
But also, and I understand your point, Lawrence, is that it was also purchased because we thought that if we owned that it could become part, at least my feeling, I can't speak for anybody else, it could be part of a more special development in that part of the community, given all of its environmental hazards and problems, the fact that it's on the market. So back to Martin's original question on this discussion item, I absolutely support the RFP process because we don't know what Lane 4 or other developers living in town or out of town may look at with everything that's going on in the city of Mission. They may come to us because, oh, by the way, the piece of property that abuts up to that, the former cleaners right next to Chad Owens? I mean, that's for sale right now. And so we don't know. I mean, this isn't the business we're in.
Right.
And we may get somebody that comes back with a vision beyond what we can even imagine. And so in terms of my opinion, and I know this is your meeting and I'm not on the committee, but I think the RFP process is the way to go because I think it does become the level playing field and the most transparent way of anybody who has an interest in redeveloping in our city saying, you know, here's a level playing field, come on in.
That's right.
And so,
Okay,
you-
so,
well, so, I asked the question, why did we buy it? And Dave, you gave some personal reasons in your thought process, and I would agree with everything you said, except for one piece, and I'm not quite sure I heard you correctly. As a council member who also weighed in on that decision to pursue this, I was not interested in it being an investment. If we were just looking as a city to try to make a buck on this property, I had no interest in that whatsoever because that's not the role of a city government, in my opinion. Everything else that Dave said, I 100% agree, and I had the same thought process going in. And so so there's 3 other people up here that were also in that meeting that helped at least set the direction towards pursuing and purchasing this property. We obviously never voted on actually purchasing it, but that's a different conversation, and I don't intend to go there. That's not my point. But it seems to me that because we have never documented why we pursued this property and why we own this property, we're stuck here in a discussion with an RFP process trying to have a discussion item that I feel is very difficult to have. Because whereas Dave thinks the RFP is a good idea, I think it's a lousy idea. I mean, seriously, if we bought this property for all the reasons that Dave articulated, and all of a sudden a year later we decide we want to sell it individually, we haven't accomplished any of those reasons. It seems like we've gone 180 degrees difference on our policy. And if we're going to seesaw our policy back and forth every year, what the heck are we doing as a council? I think this is silly. Now,
Okay, any other comment?
Martin, since the city has acquired this property, how many interested parties have come to the city interested in purchasing?
3 that have expressed some interest.
Well,
They say, well, if it were up for sale, I'd look at buying
and
it.
these are all in the last month and a half.
now this is what that tells me. That the city purchased this property at a price that it should have been sold at. And had it been advertised at that price, there's 3 people that would have purchased that or attempted to purchase that property. For, well,
Possibly.
It's a possible.
It's a possible.
It's probably.
I would, certainly, we're not gonna try it, or they're not looking for us to sell it at a loss.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know that.
We don't know that, what kind of offers they're trying to give us.
The time and effort that staff has to go through in order for this process, the purchasing process, maintaining the building, selling process, that is all time that is taken away from other city duties.
And cash taken away.
It's cost.
And for what gain? I mean, if we end up selling the property at the same amount that we purchased it for, we don't even break even.
And we don't
All the time
accomplish
that
any of
was-
those
that was
goals.
Put into it. I've never been a big believer in the city being in the real estate business. It's a speculative business, and we need to be accountable for those dollars. And frankly, I don't want to go there.
We're there.
We are there. We are there.
It's ours. Okay.
Well,
Mike, do you want to weigh in on any of that?
We just need some direction as people come towards us and make offers, would the city be interested? We need to know what path we need to take. It could be that you tell us, we don't care what offers are made, we would like to see a larger redevelopment proposal made for the area. It could be that you take the approach that we did with Mission Square, which is we have this piece of property and you basically take requests for proposals. The thing to remember is not only is it the dry cleaner, but that pet, what used to be pet connection, whatever the name of it is. Lee Lynch has approached us about he would like to sell our property. So if their developer comes to see us, make sure we send them to see Lee Lynch. So my guess is we are not going to get less of these requests. My guess is we're going to get more of these requests. So what do you want us to do with what we, in terms of our answer for our piece of property?
What's the zoning in that area?
It's form-based code. There is no.
Yeah.
It seems to me the best guidance we can give staff, because this is, I mean, as council members, we can't be entertaining offers from developers. We understand this is something staff and the mayor deal with, and then if it gets serious, it comes to us. It seems like the best direction we can give staff is we can memorialize the purpose of the property on why we bought it to some of the extent that Dave said. We can put that down on paper, and if staff has a buyer that comes to the city and can meet the purpose of what we did, and we can, you know, we can accomplish our goals and financially be whole, then I think staff has all the direction they need. We don't need an RFP to handle this. We need to understand what the policy was and why we bought it, why we have it, and staff can go from that.
And we shouldn't be asking that question at this point. We should know that.
We should have already documented. I think we do know that.
You know, who cares what somebody's gonna do with the property?
Well, you may not care, but
I care.
They're gonna do something
No,
nice.
suppose
That's why you have
they
a
wanna
form-based
purchase the property and sit on it. Maybe they think it's gonna be a great investment, and, you know, they wanna sit on it for 10 years. Who are we to tell them what to do with their property?
it's our
That
property.
ugly building
No,
sitting up
if
there.
we
they
sell
buy
it,
it.
if we
They
sell
buy
it.
Well, that's the decision we have to make, is whether we
You know,
want to sell
I
it.
know what their purpose is in the property, whether it be an investment, whether they wanna, you know, utilize part of the building for an office or something like that. Hey, that's their deal.
So you want it to sit like it is now?
It's an eyesore to
It's
the
an
district.
eyesore.
It needs to come down.
Well, there's
Should've come.
other eyesores in this city that I think should come down, but everybody else seems to think that they're absolutely beautiful. So that's all in,
That's
Sleep my
Nevertheless.
house out of this.
Humor's always good.
Okay.
Well, all I'll say too is that if you want to accelerate this process, if you want to sell the property as well as get a sense for the purchaser's vision for the property, the RFP process allows you to do that sooner than later, because you can set the RFP up however you want to, right?
But you don't need an RFP to get the vision of the property purchase.
They have to
property
come
owner.
before us
They
anyway.
have to come and say, this is what
They
we,
have
you
to
know,
get
staff,
approved
if we
plans.
give staff direction on what the property, why we purchased the property and what we expect to be done with it, staff can ask those questions to, well, you want to buy it? And they can match it up, and if it matches up, they can come to us. If it doesn't match up,
All right, so
sorry.
play this out a little bit further. Staff's got three interested parties right now.
Yeah,
Right? And, you know, back to Will's point, we're not really gonna tell you what we're gonna do with it, but, you know, what's your asking price? What's it worth?
yeah. Right now, that's exactly where we're at. Staff's coming to us saying, that's what we have. We don't know what to do because we don't have a policy from council on what to do with this property.
It's no
So-
different than
So why don't we say,
Eastgate. I mean, sold it in 2005.
we
Had
didn't sell
lots,
anything.
well, I mean, I don't know when we did that.
No, we didn't do anything. It
No,
was
we didn't.
purchased privately.
Correct. If that is purchased privately, we can't make them build any sooner. We can ask them what they're building, we can okay it or not okay it, but we can't make them
But
build
we
on
own
it.
it right now, so if we own it, we want, I mean, we want the best.
Correct, but once we sell it, even though we have some control, once we sell it,
Yeah.
it's still their control, is it not?
He could present a plan, I wanna buy it because I'm gonna build a clown
Correct.
museum. And you go, oh, that'd be great, we want a
Clown
clown
museum,
museum
Uh-huh.
in Mission. So you sell it to him, then he can say, you know, I've changed my mind. It's my property, now I don't want a clown museum, I wanna do this with it. And he,
Then we're in trouble, we could be in
Right.
trouble. Amy,
Yeah,
See,
I
we don't
mean,
have any
I
control
just
anyway.
personally think there is a real estate industry and a real estate market, and if we are not gonna be in the real estate business, I think every single property we, the city, own, if there's not gonna have to be something torn down going forward, like additional improvements planned, then we should put a for sale sign up on it and let the market do the whole thing, and just be done with it. We should probably talk about who our real estate agent would be and just let them go with it and handle it. We have a form-based code, we have a comprehensive plan, we spent lots of money on those things that people are supposed to conform to. And if they wanna do something with the property they own, they have to conform to that plan, and that's my two cents.
okay.
Amy, that's a very legitimate position to have. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of cities have that position. The challenge I would offer to that position is that our residents have told us over and over again in the last decade that redevelopment is a top priority for them. Between redevelopment and streets, nothing else even comes
Sell
close.
the property.
Well, that's not how redevelopment works. If you know, this property, as Dave has alluded to, has been on the market forever and no one bought it, no one wanted to redevelop it. There's reasons why it didn't get redeveloped. If you want to meet the needs, and if you want to meet the wishes, the priorities of the citizens in redevelopment, I'm not saying we're in the real estate business to make money. I think I clearly said that. But there are times when you have to buy and sell real estate to help redevelopment happen in sections of your city, if you want to do redevelopment. If you don't want to, if you just want to say, I don't care what the market does, redevelopment's not a priority, then you get out and you don't buy anything.
Good example, Cap Fed would not be in our city today if we didn't buy property at the corner of Knoll and Johnson Drive. And we stood back and we allowed the marketplace to work, and 3 different developers spent a whole lot of time, a whole lot of energy, and a whole lot of money trying to make that redevelopment work at the corner of Johnson Drive and Knoll. And they couldn't. And so what we ended up doing when with the grant that came through on the transportation and the new transit center was going to go in, we did the property swap. And then with some other things, Cap Fed was able to stay, that's the oldest branch in Johnson County, was able to stay in mission. And so sometimes I do think as a city, you have to be out there on the front edge and sometimes be in that. And again, look, I don't think the city should be in the real estate business to speculatively make money. I also think it's okay to say if we acquire something, I don't want to lose money on it. What I'm saying with the RFP process is there is a real estate market out there. There is a development market out there too. But I do think this is what would accelerate it. And it does allow us to have some control over, hey, do we want to meet the vision of the West Gateway? Because we have spent a lot of time and energy and gotten a lot of feedback from the community on it. And because we do own this, regardless of how we own it, and regardless the process that went through, we do own it now. And as a result, we can put an RFP out there and we may be surprised what we get back. And we have an opportunity to shape the vision down there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so which one does the committee go? Well, do you want RFP or do you want?
Put the thing up for sale.
I think an RFP is a complete waste of time. I think staff's got way too many things, stretching them in way too many directions. This does not cut the priority. If someone wants to come with a legitimate offer, I think staff can negotiate that, but I think staff needs us to memorialize why we have this property and what we intend to do with it. From there, they can go.
Okay, Jennifer?
I'm agreeing at this point, no RFP. I think that we do have control over, with our codes, over what goes on in that property, and we can give them some direction. I've sat on the other side and listened to you guys give people direction on their parking lots, and, I mean.
Okay. So I'm for the RFP, but that's 3 against 1, so.
I want to know when the building's coming down.
Why would we spend any money on it?
Because that's why we bought it.
Yeah.
But we got 3 offers
No.
on the table, why not let them do it?
So.
We don't have
does that
3
answer
offers on the
your
table,
Well,
that's
we have 3
incorrect.
people
Okay.
who have approached us about it, so let them tear it down.
They can do their thing. Okay. So does that answers his question then? So we do not do an RFP on it right now? Yes.
That's one more question, and this is way back. I just wanted to make sure with Josh, is there any way, Josh, if we knock down that house, that we would not recoup our money? Anyway.
No.
Okay.
It
that's
will
all.
go on whoever owns the property parcel will pay it with their taxes next year. We will
That's all
recover
I
the
needed
cost
to,
of the assessment.
I needed to, one more reassurance, thank you.
Can I just get a 30-second assessment from Mike based on his several 100,000 years of experience, the pro and the con of doing the RFP versus the wholesale?
Given that it's 3-1, do nothing, I think what we're going to do, and probably trying to kind of read through Lawrence's advice. So I'm probably going to write a memo that says these are the goals that I believe that we are trying to accomplish with this property. This is what I'm going to use as the yardstick as people come towards us with offers, and use that as, for lack of a better word, a filter.
Sounds like an RFP.
One that this council is abdicating its responsibility and passing it on to staff. We should be taking action on this with the policy, with the resolution.
Okay.
Instead, we're not, and staff has to make it.
Mike's still talking.
No, Lawrence is right. I have to kind of define what it is that needs to occur.
The form-based code was defined and developed to give us the ability.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
There's a transect or a section, and it describes what that's supposed to look like, and I can share that with people.
Okay. We spend a lot of time on that form-based code, so.
We do.
Okay.
Susie?
Sorry, Kim. We'll talk to you after the meeting. How's that?
Meeting's over.
Okay, that concludes our meeting. Everybody, it's a 5-minute break before the work session.